Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to Winning with Winton-Homebuyer Education. I am Shamir, your host, and we are going to talk about home ownership and maintaining your home. So, the topic being Welcome to Home Ownership. Things to know about maintaining your home. This is part three of a three-part series for homebuyer education. And if you have not already, please feel free to register and attend part one, which is how to prepare for the home buying process, part two, which is the home buying process and what to expect. And then you will have been to all three courses all together. All right, so just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Shamir Winton. I am a real estate agent, a Texas affordable housing specialist, a pricing strategy advisor, and a certified probate real estate specialist. And you see a little picture there of my fur baby. His name is Baxter. He may decide to make his presence known at some point today. We'll see. I am originally from Michigan, graduated from Tuskegee University in Alabama. I have a background in management, customer service, and training. I reside in DeSoto, Texas. And I became licensed in 2018 after purchasing my first home through the NACA program, which we may touch on a little bit during this program. And my ultimate goal is to help as many people become educated home buyers as I possibly can. All right, so we'll go over a little bit of a summary of what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about homestead and other exemptions, escrow taxes and insurance. You're going to talk about expecting the unexpected, the basic repairs and maintenance you might expect, some big ticket items that you'll need to know about, how to avoid violations. They do exist in home ownership. The life cycle of home ownership, and also using your home for money. First, we'll talk about homestead. Now, this is something that anyone uh, who actually lives in their home and is not a business entity or corporation can take advantage of. It must be filed by you as the homeowner, sorry, in order to receive a tax break on your primary residence. Where can you file that homestead exemption? Basically, you're going to file it with your county's appraisal district, where your home is, the county in which you reside. And they made a change on January 1st, 2022, where a qualified property owner can file their homestead exemption as of the date you own and occupy the home as your primary residence. That has changed from what it was previously. You had a certain time frame of which you had to do it, but that no longer exists. Now, there are several types of homestead exemptions. There's just the general homestead exemption, which pretty much any homeowner can take part of. But there are also special exemptions such as age 65 or older, disabled person, 100% disabled veteran, and there are many more out there. I would recommend checking with your county appraisal district to see if there are other exemptions that you might qualify for. Again, you can visit the county appraisal district website, or you can go to comptroller.texas.gov for more information on homestead exemptions. Now we'll talk about escrow, which is your annual taxes and insurance. If you have your account set up for your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, your taxes and insurance will typically change annually. They may go up, they may go down. More than likely, they'll go up. So you should expect a change in your monthly payment due to the taxes and insurance, but your principal and interest should stay the same unless you decide to refinance or something. So again, you're going to notice that your mortgage might increase because of that change to your taxes and insurance. And you may notice that you have an overage, which means they owe you money, or a shortage, which means that you owe. It could go either way. Every situation is different. Each year brings about different changes. So you just have to be aware of what it is that has taken place for that particular year and, know where to go from there. Okay, now it's unavoidable that the unexpected will happen. So we just have to expect the unexpected. We have to know that things are going to happen on occasionally that we just could not have possibly foreseen. So with that said, you'll want to determine how you're going to handle those particular unexpected occurrences. If it's just a minor repair that needs to happen, are you going to DIY, go to YouTube, look up some instructions, Google how to fix something? Is that going to be your path? Are you going to take advantage of your home warranty if it's an appliance that has broken down? Going to use that? Are you going to call a handyman or another professional to take care of whatever may occur? Or will you file an insurance claim? So those are some things that you'll want to think about on, when certain things happen. There's pictures here, that can show a plethora of things that can happen depending on where you live. There may be a flood, fire, it may just be minor cracks and, uh, you know, wood paneling needs to be made. They could be minor, they could be major. Just kind of have a plan in mind of what you'll do when that unexpected happens. So we mentioned home warranties and what you may do if you have an appliance failure. Could be a water heater, dishwasher. I know I've had mine serviced a few times, washer, dryer, things like that. I've even had my garage serviced with a home warranty. So with home warranties, you basically choose the best plan for your home, what's going to work. When something happens, you'll call in a claim and pay your service fee. And they'll send a service provider out to you to come fix the issue. In most cases, there's not going to be any additional cost to you unless there's some kind of fix that is beyond the scope of your home warranty, or they may just offer you an additional service that's not covered by the warranty. I have taken advantage of that on occasion. It's just something that was convenient for me that I was like, you know what? I don't want to take care of that. I'm just going to go ahead and pay the little extra money, let the home warranty company fix that additional thing. But it's totally up to you how you want to proceed with that. Now we're going to talk about insurance, and I have a guest that is going to delve into that. Her name is Ashley Cotton. She is an insurance broker with Companion Insurance Agency, which is a Liberty Mutual company. And you're going to learn a little bit about insurance. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and take over. So, yes, I am a broker through Companion Insurance, which is also a part of Liberty Mutual. So, I just want to speak on a few things. I'll spend about 10 minutes or so, kind of just giving you the basics on understanding the home insurance and also what to expect of that policy. So, mainly, I'm going to introduce the policy to you, kind of discuss some of those core coverages. So, the dwelling, other structures, personal property, mention some of the additional and optional coverages available to you, which do vary by company, as well as some discounts that are specific to Liberty Mutual, but you will see those kind of vary throughout different carriers, and also briefly explain Companion Insurance again. So, just an introduction to your home insurance, a few questions that you want to make sure you're asking yourself when you are looking at these policies and choosing the right coverage for yourself is just, will this coverage pay for the repairs that you need? If someone stole your items, are they going to be covered? Are other structures on your property going to be covered? And if you need to stay somewhere else because you have a claim, will your policy cover you and allow you to do that? So the declaration page is going to be where you will find the really all of the main details that concern your home. And so this is going to list the dwelling, other structures limits, your personal property, loss of use, and liability limits. Now, how do you cover your home? So the dwelling limit is going to be the actual structure itself. That is the coverage for your actual home. So that does not include the land. And then coverage B is going to be for other structures. So that's going to be anything that's on your property, but not necessarily connected to your home. So in some cases, this can be a swimming pool, a fence, a shed. So think of any of those detached structures that may be on your property. Now, how much is enough personal property coverage? This area of the policy is really up to the customer. There are minimum limits, but this number can be raised. So I always recommend having a conversation with your agent about how much this personal property is covered for and making sure that your items are properly covered on your policy. Loss of use, as I previously mentioned, if you can't live in your home due to a covered loss, most insurance companies will give you up to 12 months, up to 24 months. It does just depend a certain limit that will help you if you have additional expenses while you are living off premises and until your home is livable again. So definitely want to make sure that number is where it needs to be and making sure you understand what you have there. So choosing a deductible that you are most comfortable with. So this does mention that typical deductible options are 500, 1,000, 2,500, even though lately we have transitioned more into a percentage deductible. So usually you will hear someone mention maybe a 1% or a 2% deductible. Those tend to be average. And it does depend on the area that you live in. Sometimes you may be forced to have a higher deductible because those lower deductibles do drive the premiums up. However, you do want to make sure you understand what that deductible is. So, for example, if your home is covered for 500,000 and you have a 1% deductible, you want to make sure you know what that is, as well as a 2 or 3% deductible. And the liability and medical payments, again, these are very important parts of the policy because the liability works the same way as it would on your auto insurance. So if you are liable in any instance, it will cover you on your home insurance as well as medical payments, which I recommend raising that number to at least about 5,000. Most people will raise that liability to around 300,000. As you can see, there are a few examples there. And a few additional coverages. So water backup, it's going to help you out as far as any backups that may be within sewers or drains. Then you also have the option for identity theft protection. You can make sure that you have a home computer endorsement. Some companies offer this that will cover all of your electronics. And you can also schedule property, which I highly recommend. If you have any items that are of value, you want to make sure that you are listing those on your insurance policy and letting your agent know about those. So a few discounts that are available through Liberty Mutual, of course, a multi-policy discount, early shopper discount if you are purchasing a home and you know that you may be closing within a month or two, you are able to set up home insurance early and you do receive a discount for that. Be sure to let your agent know if you have an alarm system and things like that that would allow you to gain that protective devices discount, claims free discount, newly purchased home. There are so many different discounts that different carriers offer, which are usually built into the policy, but be sure to ask your agent what options are available to you. Now, this is specific to Liberty Mutual, but most carriers do have a really helpful app that you can use to file claims and access your policy documents. Some people don't know, how to access declarations pages or find the information that's important to your policy. So be sure to make sure you understand how to find these things in the event that you're wanting to shop around maybe, or just wanting to make adjustments so that you are knowledgeable of your policy. I would definitely recommend getting comfortable with those apps and websites. So again, comparing insurance is what allows me to, as an agent, shop around through multiple carriers. I can shop different carriers that offer different deductible options, which of course allows different ranges of prices. So I'm able to have a conversation and discuss needs with you, shop around, and I can present you with multiple options so that you can choose your coverage and get everything finalized and ready to go for closing. And here is my contact information if anybody has questions for me. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ashley. That was a lot of great information. I really appreciate it. And now we'll move into some big ticket items that need to be fixed in the home. This is something that um, you're just going to want to know of and prepare for because the lifespan of the home, these three things are pretty much inevitable. So your average roof is going to last roughly 15 to 25 years, depending on the quality of the roof, the type of materials used, etc. So just be aware of that if you're in your forever home, and the roof just got fixed the same year you moved in, then you know that you have a good 15 to 25 years on that roof. Now, there are some exceptions, such as hail damage. So just kind of be aware of that, excuse me, occasionally you may have some wind or hail that may, remove a couple shingles. So that may be a possibility, but those can be more minor. But as far as the entire roof, you have that wide time frame to, consider the repairs. Because we live in Texas, foundation issues are very common. Um, more houses deal with foundation issues in Texas than not. So while I can't say every home will have foundation issues, it is very likely that you will. So you'll need to maintain your foundation. There are things known as soaker hoses that you can place around the home that release water around the foundation, kind of help keep it moisturized so that it does not recede and cause you to have foundation issues. However, in the event that you do still have those issues, you'll need to know how to finance it in the event that that those repairs are major. Most companies will charge by the pier if you pier and beam, um, which can be in the hundreds. So if you need many piers, those repairs can end up being in the thousands. So be aware of that. As a real estate agent, we tend to ask the question, has there been any foundation repair or is there foundation work needed? So that way we can kind of help you determine where you stand as far as future repairs on the foundation. And then there's plumbing. Plumbing issues can be minor or major, and they can be random. They could be due to weather issues, poor maintenance, any number of things can happen with plumbing. That is one of those things that will vary from home to home. However, 9 times out of 10, there will be some, even if it's for example, in my situation, I usually have to snake my plumbing once a year, once every other year, because I have a large tree in my front yard, and the roots tend to grow within the pipes. So it clogs up my drains, and I have to get that snaked out. So that's just one example of my own personal plumbing situation. Again, those are those are going to vary. Each home will be different when it comes to plumbing, but 9 times out of 10, you may experience minor or major plumbing issues throughout the time of your home, in your home rather. Now let's talk about the rules of home ownership. I know that, most people think, oh, I want to buy a home, it's mine, I do what I want with it, and that is true to a certain extent. However, there are still some rules that you may have to abide by. And some of those rules can be through your city code enforcement, or they could be through your HOA. So, if it's, for example, the city where I live in DeSoto, there is no HOA in my particular neighborhood. However, I do still have to abide by city code ordinances, such as, the maintenance of my trees and yard. They have certain requirements for that. I won't get into it because they're different from city to city. But there's also trash disposal and pickup rules that you have to abide by. Um, you know, and another example is parking on the yard. It is not allowed in my city. So I may decide, oh, it's my house. I'll park where I want. I'll park in my front yard, my backyard, wherever I want. However, the city may think otherwise and cite you accordingly. So it is important to be aware of the rules of your city, the code enforcement, what you may have to deal with when it comes to that. HOA is another situation where you'll want to definitely be aware of what the covenants are in your HOA, because you may decide you want to paint your house, you want to get a fence, any number of things. For example, where my parents live, they do have an HOA and there are no fences allowed in the neighborhood. There's not a single fence around. So there's that. There are some HOAs who will allow you to have a fence, but it can only be a certain height. It can only go, through to a certain perimeter of the home. It can only be a certain color. It varies. Signage, they may allow signs such as political signs, etc. They may only allow them certain times of year. They may only allow them to be placed in certain areas in the yard. Any number of things. It just depends on that particular HOA. Each of them are different. Some are more have more stringent rules than others. Painting the home may be an issue in certain HOAs. They may only allow you to paint certain colors. They may also have pet breed restrictions in the HOA. So be aware. I always recommend to my clients that they read their HOA covenant so that they're aware of what is expected and what is not allowed. Now let's talk about the life cycle of home ownership, which is very important. Most people buy their home and they think, oh, I'm going to live here forever. That is not necessarily the case. The typical homeowner spends about 13.2 years in their home, according to um, Redfin, which did a report in November 2021. And that number is down slightly from the previous year. So, keep that in mind that you may think that you're going to be there forever, but a lot can happen in 13.2 years that may change the life cycle of your home ownership. So you may not just go from being a renter to a homeowner to happily ever after. It may look a little bit more like this, a little crazy. So you may start as a renter and you become a homeowner. That is typically where most people think the line stops. However, it could go any number of ways from there. You may decide to sell that house and get a bigger house. Or you may decide, oh, we're going to, use this house for income, rent it out while we move on to bigger and better things. You may pass away. What's going to happen to this house when you pass away? Or do you have any heirs that you want to pass that home to? Or will it, go up for auction? It'll go back to the bank. Those are things you want to think about. Do you want something to happen with that home in the event that you pass away? What if you fall on hard times and you end up in foreclosure? That's a thought. There are definitely ways to avoid foreclosure, but in the event that's not possible for you, that's something to think about. You may have bought your first home with your new spouse. What if that ends in divorce? Nobody wants to think about that ahead of time, but it happens. So if you end up divorcing, will you sell the home, split the proceeds? Will one person be awarded the home in the divorce? Things like that um, could be considered. Either way, you don't want to end up sleeping on someone's couch or, from there ending up back in a renter position. Or you may want to. Some people do that. It's all up to you. The whole point of this is to be aware of what happens with this home should any of these other things take place. So keep that in mind with the life cycle of home ownership. That is very important. Now, we touched on foreclosure a bit. And we definitely want to avoid foreclosure. I consider myself a resource for my clients if they do fall on hard times. I ask that they reach out to me because I am constantly learning. I'm very intentional about learning how to help my clients and myself. I mean, we've all been there or may be there at some point in our lives. So, we want to make sure that everyone not only gets a home, but they stay in their home. And there's plenty of resources out there from the county to Fannie Mae. T-Shack has a program to help you avoid foreclosure. You can always go to HUD. They have a plethora of resources nationwide to help you with home ownership. Green Path Financial is a really good program, as well as the NACA program, which is where I bought my home through. They not only help you with the purchase of a home, but they also help you if you are in the, um, you know, unfortunately looking to experience foreclosure. Um, your bank is also a resource for you after the big fuss that happened in 2008 with the housing market. More banks are being held accountable to helping people stand in their homes. So, you could also check with them to see what options they have available, such as forbearance, a repayment plan, deferral, loan modification, refinance. Just talk to them and see what they have available. Each bank and lending institution is different as to what they offer. And it also could depend on your situation as well. So have that conversation, um, and save your home. Now, there's also the ability to use your home for money. You may hear people say all the time that there's wealth in home ownership, and that is absolutely correct. And that wealth comes in the form of equity and other ways as well, um, such as a home equity line of credit known as a HELOC, refinance, cash out refinance, and a home equity loan. Um, so this is an important point now, especially because with interest rates being a little higher than they've been in the past couple of years, people have been hesitant to buy because of that. However, a savvy home buyer will know that, hey, just because the interest rates are high now doesn't mean they're always going to be, let me go ahead and get this house, then I can refinance later for a lower interest rate and lower home payment. So that is a popular option among savvy home buyers. And again, you have those other options available as well. I don't like to dig too deep into those just because I am not a lender. So I have not gotten that license to be able to go into too much detail about it. However, I highly recommend speaking with one, and I could always refer you to a lender to speak about those things if you're interested. Now that you are in your home. So now another thing that is important to know when it is time to sell your home, if you choose to, again, going back to the using your home for wealth, if you decide to move, you may decide not to sell that first home. You may decide to rent it out for income. That is another wealth building practice that is I like to recommend, but it's not for everybody. But nonetheless, if you do decide to sell that home, you'll need to know that in Texas it is required to complete a seller's disclosure, which is basically just notating and documenting anything that you're aware of in the home that may have had issues, may have had repairs, may have filed an insurance claim, etc. So you go through and complete that list. It is required to provide that to buyers. So, if you need to keep track of what repairs are done along the way of your home, I recommend doing that. Excuse me. Any upgrades that can help sell your house, you may want to consider either making those upgrades or being willing to negotiate the price to include the ability of the buyer doing those upgrades themselves. So just be aware of that. And if you have any warranties that convey, if you just had gotten your roof done the year before you decided to sell and that roofer provided you with a warranty that conveys to the next homeowner, that things like that are very useful. These, consider the things that may be helpful for the next buyer. For example, anytime my clients purchase a new construction homes, they are provided typically with a blueprint. And I always tell them to keep that because it may be very useful if in the event they do decide to sell. The buyer may like to have that. I know I wish I had the blueprint for my own home, but I don't. Just keep those things in mind if you do decide to sell your home at any point in time. Now we have reached the point where we have a Q&A, answer any questions that you may have. And the no questions in the chat. Alrighty. So that concludes the presentation for today. That is part three of the homebuyer education courses offered by Winning with Winton, which is Welcome to Home Ownership, How to Maintain Your Home. I hope that this was useful for you. I hope that you'll complete a survey and take note of my contact information. If you ever have any questions, I'm happy to help. And if you know someone who is looking to buy a home, I would also love to help them. Or if you know anyone who would be interested in taking this course to learn more, send them my way. I'd love to have them and educate them again because I have the goal of helping as many people become educated home buyers as I possibly can. So, with that, I thank you and you all have a great day.